I am going to go ahead and go through the steps of configuring the Primo view for Spanish, as well as talking about doing the search scopes. Now, we've done some of this over multiple meetings, but I'm hoping that we can kind of run it all through today, so that if anyone is watching the recording or didn't join us for those earlier meetings, we've got a good record of the work required. So, I'm gonna stop my video, start sharing my screen. We have previously worked in the Big Bend, my little test one. And nope, that one. So there are multiple parts to setting up an effective Spanish View Primo. The first one is enabling Spanish as a language, which is under general configuration. And I'm just going to search it because I can't remember right now. Yes, it's under general and it's institution languages. So configuration, general, and then institutional. And you can see that you can turn on many. English is the default, but if you have other populations that you want to have a special view, Russian, Ukrainian, etc., those are also options. So this one, we turned on Spanish at our meeting back in August. So this is the first thing that you must do in order to have a Spanish language discovery view. The next thing, and I will tell you, one of the things is your two views won't show up side by side, if that makes sense. You'll have two different links. So if you want to, on your home page, say like, okay, go check our catalog, and then below it say, or check our catalog in Spanish, that link would be to this other discovery view. So we've been working in my Carly testing one, but if you want a direct copy of your main view, your default view, you can duplicate that view, and then I'll show you where to change it to Spanish. So we're going to go into Carly testing and we're going to edit. And just because it's testing doesn't mean no one can get to it. It just means that it's like not the default and I named it testing. So if you have exactly duplicated your current main view, the very first thing you need to do is change the default language to Spanish. You might want to make other changes, such as like disabling collection discovery if you want something more simple for, Spanish speaking students. Um, but basically, if you duplicate, you're more or less going to get the same thing. However, what will not get default changed to Spanish is your links menu. So you can see here, we actually started changing the labels in this view to Spanish because the code and the label remain the same unless you come in here and edit them. So again, this is a place where you could simplify if you wanted to. You could even add different links. If you have, for instance, a Spanish language librarian and you wanted to add a link specifically to their contact information, that might be a spot to put it. You could also put a link to a Spanish language LibGuide with like additional research help in Spanish. So it will duplicate your main view. So the links that are active will be the same that you currently have active. And you can change those. You can also change the labels. Same goes with your search profile slots. So they will be the same as what is in your standard default view. And this is the second place where doing some configuration of your search profiles can really help Spanish speakers. I'm going to go ahead and continue through the tabs, pointing out where some of the Spanish language stuff gets changed. So these, because there is the name and the search profile slot, I believe the only thing that you can change is that they are turned on. And so I think if I'm remembering correctly, they automatically get changed to Spanish. Brief results might be one where you change the facets on the search. So, like putting, activating language and putting that higher up so that students can choose to filter by language. Record display, most of the record information will get translated to Spanish. It's not always fantastic, but it is done. And then this is another one where you might want to change the order of things or edit the labels of them. So that essentially changing the default language to Spanish and then changing the links menu labels are the two places where you have to add some changes and potentially also the search profiles. Now, to do our search profiles, if you go into Discovery under Search Configuration, we have our search profiles. Now, all of these are available to all Discovery views. That doesn't mean that they are going to be available because your main view has selected search profiles, and it's not going to magically add one that you create for Spanish language. So we have a profile which is made up of scopes, and then you might also have other indexes. We're going to focus on these. So we've played around with some of these, and let's go ahead and go back into them because I don't remember if I've changed them or messed with them since. So electronic journals in Spanish. We created this by doing scope conditions, and there were two conditions. The first being language equals Spanish, and then the second being available electronically. Now, I'm not sure if this ended up returning just journals or also ebooks, but I'm going to go to and add this third one of metadata resource type. And we're going to say equals journals. So now we know it is definitely only returning journals. So we've got and operators, not or. So all three of these things must be true in order for there to be results. So I'm going to save this one. And then we have electronic Spanish. And let's see what we set this one up. So this one was anything electronic um, in Spanish language. So we're going to do Spanish content available online. And what did we do this one? This one was one that we chose specifically for Big Bend because they have a collection location called Hispanic Serving Institution. But what we want to do is get rid of this and operator and make that an or operator. So I'm going to actually clear all these conditions and we're going to add that. There we go. Inventory location equals, and we're going to search Hispanic Serving Institution titles. And then we're going to do an or. And there are a lot of languages available, so searching it is probably faster than scrolling. So now we've got language, Spanish. So this test Spanish language is going to return the largest set. And I'm going to name this one HSI and Spanish. Okay, so we have these three local data scopes, HSI and Spanish being the largest. Spanish only journals, probably the smallest, honestly, because we did limit it to journals, whereas this is anything electronic. So now that we have these data scopes, we can come in here and we're going to use my testing one. And so you can create one that the code is like, Spanish test. And so we're going to attach this one to, and I was trying to do the search other institutions tests and it wasn't working. But okay, so I'm going to add custom local data. And you'll see all of those ones that we came up with. So I'm going to add the HSI in Spanish. Okay. And I'm going to rename this so we know which one it is. All right. And I'm going to add another because I actually want my my Spanish language interface to have this HSI in Spanish as a search filter, as well as our normal search everything. But then I also want to give them some other Spanish language options. So this one we're going to call Spanish e-journals. So we're going to put that scope into this profile so that we can get those results in that discovery view. So Spanish. Okay. So you can add other additional search profiles, but we've got two, so I can kind of demonstrate how it works. So we go back to discovery, our configure views. We go into my Carly testing. Now we're going to do search profile slots. So if my blended test is still there, and we're actually going to add um, a slot. Um, okay, we're gonna do that. Um, and this slot, the name will be the name that students see when they see the drop down. Okay, so we've got the everything. We've got our which we now know this blended test is actually the HSI and Spanish content. Um, and we want everything to be down at the bottom, and we're going to have the HSI in Spanish, and then the Spanish e-journal second, and then the everything regardless of language third. So now we've got this, and I'm going to go to general and save. And now if we go, yes, I saved already. Thank you. If we go back out to this views list, you can go to view. And now you can see just what that looks like. So we've got the labels that we've changed into Spanish versus the ones we've not. The labels that have default translated based on Alma settings. And we've got, this is simplified search, so it's search everything. And I'm just going to search a word that I know. But now if we look, you can see we've got, if I'd change the name of this to HSI and Spanish, versus the online journals versus all resources. So if I go to online journals and I'll search L. Okay. So we have journals, full journals, not articles. And if we click on this, we see where it's available, what its availability range is, the languages that it's available in, the subject areas, and students are getting the entire results list in Spanish, with the exception of these trademarked names. So pretty cool. If we go back to the test scope and profile, and we're getting, 2,300 results. We're getting books that are available online. We have the language as the top filter, and then the material type. So we can even see videos that are in Spanish. If you want to add different filters, obviously you can go in and do that. So we could look at this book, and I can log in. Oh, does Big Ben not have login working? Amanda, are you here? There's no.
That might be the like SAML based or LDAP based login. They might
Yeah,
not
which
have.
they may not have. I can't remember. But, if I wanted to look at this ebook, I could log in and look at it. Um, so that is the basic process for creating a Spanish view of your library catalog. What you can then do is, what do you do? It's like new search. Nope, that was the wrong link. Search in the library. You can take, don't give your code a a dumb name like Carly Testing, but if you were like Spanish shoreline, you just take this link, and notice that it says it's got the language tag in there. But you take this link and then you can use that link on your homepage or on a libguide to direct users to this Spanish version. Now, all of this stuff would be things that you would need to end up customizing. I can show you. Hold on. In this customization package. And you can go to Primo Studio and work on that. Um, and I can also like help you work on that. So if you wanted to give it like a slightly different color palette, so it was really like obviously not the standard one. If you wanted to, change icons because, you feel that certain icons might not be, um, they might not culturally translate. Um, and then where, somewhere, I am not super great in the Primo Studio. I tend to just download the package and then like find the code um and change it. Um but here is the view. No, I just want to exit. Maybe I can just exit. Um and yeah, you all of this got automatically translated. But again, if you want to take some of these out to simplify, um, or if you want to, like take a look at the description that you have in some of these, that maybe the translation doesn't really work, and you can make a very simple change to the default English description so that the translation works a bit better, and you're making it, more readable for everybody. Um, that's possible. The links menu, I was thinking it'd kind of be cool to have like a um, translation party, I guess, because everyone might have like different links, but maybe we could get together and um, translate, and if, like that way we all have kind of the same language at least. Um, and, we can do that. But yeah, it's a really fantastic service to provide for our students, and it requires fairly minimal effort. I mean, like Google Translate can help you out with the links menu. I also have this community college in California that has, see, they've just labeled theirs like with Spanish. And if you look, they've simplified this. They're trying to get their stuff here translated, but you can see they've done a nice job translating their links, uh, and you can um, so you can get some inspiration from that. So that's um, okay. Reverso is another service for translating that Elena has used for Italian. Um, Of course, this is also like a fantastic opportunity if you have library students who are bilingual to do a little usability testing and see if it makes sense to them, or maybe working with a Spanish class on campus, um, have them do a project, like go to the professor and be like, here's a page, translate all of these things. That, you know, so I've never heard of Reverso. Okay, so pretty good interface. So like ask a librarian. So that's long. Maybe you decide that you know, playing with um the phrase in English to get things that are not quite so difficult in a tiny little link box, um, and then testing those out. Um, so, or maybe you just want to do research help. Uh, so, but yeah, I believe a few of you are already working on this project. Have you had a chance for that to go live? What has your experience been? Have you found any resources that were helpful for usability or translations?
Carly, there's been a group that's been working on this, right, for the last few months.
Well, we didn't have a ton of Primo customization meetings because it was summer.
Got it.
So, um, yeah, so we worked on it. We figured out the search scopes, which is something of kind of playing with your own collections to see what comes back when you search things. Um,
Who were some of the folks who've been helping work on this?
Linda, Laura, who else who's here today? Let me see if I've um Abby. Abby was helping at Whatcom. She wasn't able to make it today. Um, so I think we only had one meeting a month, maybe two in August. So really figuring out these steps of enable Spanish, create a duplicate view, set language as Spanish, and then create local data scopes to create search profiles. That's kind of been the culmination of that group's work, is figuring out the most straightforward way to get it functioning.
Well, thanks everyone for doing this work. This is really cool.
Yeah, well, and like even if you don't have certain, like a Ukrainian speaker on campus who can help you out, um, it's it's easy enough to at least enable a language, um, and create um, a a duplicated view in that language and provide links to that on your websites. I wouldn't want to like clutter it up too much, but that could even be like a link on your standard Primo view of like link to Spanish version, link to Ukrainian version. I believe, if we look, I think Vietnamese. Um, so general institution languages. Um, so Vietnamese is not one. Um, which is too bad, but at least Chinese is there. Although it doesn't say which, but Chinese is there, Polish is there, Japanese, Korean. So I could see um a lot of these, being useful, especially if the work is done hand in hand with thinking about your your links from a usability perspective, or your filters from a usability perspective when non-English speakers are having to use them, because you don't have to create a search profile of only materials in uh, another language, but creating them is not super crazy. Oh wait, nope, that let's try this. Because instead of Spanish, we could do Korean. We could do Chinese. We could do Ukrainian. So, and then you have this scope available. You put it into a profile that says what language it is. You add that profile slot to the configure the view, and you know it's fairly minimal work to potentially significantly benefit and connect students to library services. So anyway, um I'm happy to help create search scopes or test search scopes if you're wanting to do this work but you don't think you have the time. And then our Primo uh, customization moving forward will be about other little things that annoy us. And um, and that'll be fun too. So anyway, does anyone have any questions about creating a Spanish view?
Yeah, I have a question. It was about the subject headings. Are they only translating subject headings from Alma, but not anything from the CDI?
Yes, because the data scopes are local data scopes.
Okay.
And that does seem to be, and that was because I did um, that particular drop down search. If let's test. If we do the everything scope and it's in the Spanish view. Oh, please go away, Zoom controls. Um, so And we're okay. So if we go to all resources, so the all resources does include CDI content. And
Mhm.
so if we look at this one, let's see if we can't find something from the CDI. Yeah, so it doesn't, on this one, it's not necessarily translating the subject areas. Yeah, so it's not translating subject areas from the CDI.
But it is from Alma because that's how you decide. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if we switch back to like the test scope one, which was, and we look at these guys, yeah, we have some in Spanish and some not. So yeah, so
Can you display the source? Like down at the bottom, there should be that link to, yeah, that one.
see if it's in Spanish in the record.
Yeah, go down.
It is.
Yeah.
But is that because it's translating it for us? So
The
confused.
no, the book is in Spanish, so like so all of the cataloging is
Looking at,
transcription. But if you go down to the bottom, anything that starts with a 6 is something to do with the subject. And you can see the first few are in English, and then there are some that have a 4, the number 4 in front of the subject, and those are in Spanish. So whoever cataloged this to begin with put some subjects in English and some subject headings in Spanish. And there's probably some official Spanish language list of subject headings somewhere.
so it, you might find some that have Spanish. I wonder if we click on, like, this is a Spanish subject heading. We only get that one book. But what is,
But even if they put in the English, they put in both English and subject Spanish headings. In this case, it was not translating the English subject headings, right?
Right. Yeah, the Spanish language subject headings were already in there. Alma and Primo haven't done anything to them.
so,
They
but when I put in
haven't.
politics, I got this book. And let's see what its record looks like. So it's got subject headings in both languages.
So is this book from Alma or the CDI?
It is from,
I assume it says Alma because down at the bottom there's the option to look at the source record.
Right, I do too. So I guess my question is, under the subject headings there, why did it not translate politics into politica?
That's a,
I mean,
Well,
I would think it should have like two politicas there, right? I'm just trying to understand if we make this
What,
change, what you know, how does that affect subject headings and searching, and what can we expect? So that, yeah.
So when you make this change, Alma and Primo they're not gonna translate any of the subjects that are already in the record for the book or the ebook. So if there
I
are
see.
if there are English language subject headings, those will stay in English.
Okay.
If there are French language subject headings, those will stay in French. If there are Spanish language subject headings, those will stay in Spanish.
Okay, very good. That
And if
answers my question then. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and so like I put a filter on of English because I know that this scope and profile includes their items that they've tagged as part of the HSI collection. And so if we look, there's this English language journal, and we've still got mostly English here, even like under frequency. And it's only where additional subject headings have been put in to the record. Otherwise, it's just the Alma labels that are getting translated. So full text available, permalink, etc. So yeah, and like it's nice too because you can create the entire view and share it for testing without making it widely available. So there's a fair bit of tweaking that you can do in the in-between time if you find that things aren't making sense. All right. Well, it is 1:45. I got LDAP connections acting up all over, and that Ex Libris server service down. So any other questions? Otherwise we can wrap up for today. And our next Primo meeting, we can start on another journey of fun discovery changes.